before, but lots of the executives of Microsoft, they own a lot of stock in the company, but they don't really talk about that. So they have an interest, even after they leave Microsoft, they still have stock in Microsoft, and they have not just a reason because of their friends being in the company trying to advance Windows and to advance the, I suppose, what else do they have, like Bing or something? They also have shares in the company that they came from. So people who move from Microsoft to Yahoo, they probably still have shares in Microsoft. So they obviously have to serve Microsoft not just because their colleagues are actually in Microsoft or former colleagues and friends, but because they, their wallet is tied up to Microsoft. And this is why, in turn, you have all these companies suffering from a case of what I refer to as entryism. Companies being changed from the inside by changing their composition of staff, trying to put a different worldview inside the companies, and once a few of them get in, they bring some old friends, and then it's kind of like an inside takeover of companies. That's what happened in Juniper, VMware, Yahoo, to a certain extent, Novell. Quite a sad story, because companies just don't learn. Human resources just bring in these people, who in turn kind of screw the culture.
Well, I'm just, while you were examining that topic, I'm just looking through for any other sort of releases or news that we want to put out there very quickly. I don't know if you have some more titles, Roy. Anything that you want to quickly bring up before we...
Quite a few things. I was quite happy to see the University of Computer Sciences, the UCI in Cuba, is moving all the computers to Linux, and I think that's 8,000 computers, which is just, it's not just the only computers in Cuba, but that's the confirmed. They just once in a while give you a status update on what's happening inside these countries and specific parts of them. It's really hard to say the whole country is moving to Linux unless you go from house to house and you can give an account of how many houses made the switch. But also announced I think they have an operating system called Nova, and I think it's based on Gentoo. There was lots of rumors and speculations about it about a year ago, and I know they just had it in the news again. And that's pretty good news. And I know in Spain they have some regions that moved to their own localized distro.
Yeah, this Nova distro, it's Debian, it's Ubuntu derived based. I can read this synopsis here very quickly. Nova is a user-friendly, desktop-oriented Linux distribution developed by the University of Computer Sciences in Havana, Cuba. In the product's early days, the operating system was based on the Gentoo Linux, so you were right, Roy, and Sabian Linux. But starting from version 2.1, developers have chosen Ubuntu as the base system. There'll be a link to that particular distro in the show notes. It looks very good. Thank you, Roy. I hadn't seen that before. So I'm just looking at that now. So that's great. That will be in the show notes. Roy, I'll
I received an email today. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name of the distro. It's something like Corara with 2 A's at the end, and it's being developed by a person called Chris Smart, who's also a journalist. He was the first. Well, actually, this distro has a bit of a history. I think it's now based on Fedora 14. It used to be based, I think, on Gentoo, but the very nice thing about it actually contained the binary. I'm not sure it's a nice thing, but it used to contain the binary drivers in the live CD back in like 2007 or 2006. So this was the first distro you could actually pick up and put in your friend's computer and have XGL, as it was called at the time, have the 3D desktop running, flipping desktops and all kinds of things. This was a major milestone at the time because everybody said, well, Linux is ugly, it doesn't do any 3D, it doesn't do any effects. And the 3D XGL at the time, it was Novell, just around the time or before the time they signed a deal with Microsoft, they were developing this thing. This was the first distro to come, at least as a live distribution, with the XGL thing working out of the box on some graphics cards. So anyway, he mailed me the link today because we've been in touch several times before, and I've passed it around, and yeah, he's got a new release now coming.
It's yeah, I'm just having it looks very interesting. As you say, Roy, based on Gen 2, available in KDE GNOME. There'll be a show notes. There'll be a link on the show notes, certainly. And yes, it looks very much out of the box. That hits a load of points with me. As I've said before, certainly the proprietary drivers are my thing at the moment. I require them. So yeah, it looks very good, and I'll certainly be having a little look at that over the coming week and giving a comment on that.
Of course, the main distro to be in the headlines, the past. I'm not sure if we did mention it in the previous episode. The Debian release is a pretty successful thing as far as I can tell. Everyone's giving it very good reviews. I can only think of one rant about it that came from SJVN. He was talking about the fact that the distro may be not much use to people because it doesn't contain the binary drivers in some cases, or the non-free drivers in some way. And he started a whole, I can think of at least 12 or so posts about it. And lots of people are trying to oppose him or take his side, and then he posts a correction about it. And today I'm seeing this article from Bruce Byfield, with whom I don't exactly get along with, and he chose the headline is Debian dying, which is just, it's not exactly informative. And then he goes on to this debate: is it dying? Is it not dying? And he doesn't actually answer the question, and it's just like a very kind of troll, kind of bait headline, as far as I can tell. And he wasn't the only person to play this card, of trying to play, Debian is dying. Read the article and hear about, that's just trying to use people's emotions to read your piece. And I'm not saying that I don't use strong words, but at least I don't say something like is something dying and then put in a question mark. In fact, I almost never use a question mark in my headlines. You can check that. I almost never put any question. I actually make a statement, because when you put the question mark, it's kind of like saying, I'm saying something very provocative, but I'm not exactly sure. Are you sure? Read out, find out. And it's like, let's explore the question. And like, no, just put your opinion. You explain your opinion, defend that.
Unfortunately, I can't take the more high ground as you, Roy, because most of my articles do have a question mark in the title, and rightfully so in my case. I mean, certainly some of the titles I make, yes, I want people to read the article, but I have a theory or have an opinion, but I don't want to set it as fact, so I send it out there as an opinion.
And you mentioned newspapers doing the same. I don't think newspapers, it depends which sections of newspapers, but I don't think that if you read the football section or just the main sections, you don't really have many questions mark in the headline.
You see, with the way I write it, I would hope it stimulates a bit of discussion. Just to cite an example, recently with the Google Bing scenario, I had the headline "Microsoft caught in the cookie jar again?" ? And then we had a couple of people come onto the article and sort of have a bit of a debate between themselves as to yes, it does, yes, it was, no, it wasn't, type thing. But I tend to get very paranoid when it comes to titles, because I'm very aware that if you say anything which is implied as a fact and it's not, there can be a whole world of hurt, even for the sort of simple blogger like myself. So I sort of put the question mark there as a safety mechanism as well, because obviously at the end of the day I don't have personal experience of any of these things I'm talking about, so it is just an opinion or an allegation.
About a month ago, I wish I actually had I cannot remember exactly. It was somebody who was trying or suggesting that a person runs a parsing algorithm of some sort past headlines, and maybe a journal, maybe headlines in the news, to try and check which ones have question marks, and trying to see over time what happened with the question mark, especially headlines. I think it's to do with publications in scientific journals, perhaps, trying to check how much people put a trollish kind of trying to draw people's attention away, using the question mark, using the question in the title of an article. I don't think it was referring to news headlines, but I think it will be extremely interesting to find to find out in different fields to what extent people play the provocation cards in the headlines. Because as far as I can tell, usually when I see things ending with a question mark, it's usually when the author says something he doesn't